Hi, today I will be telling you the most common mistakes with leopard geckos. And I made one of them. But with that said, let's get into it. I got my leopard gecko at the beginning of this year, back in March maybe. I don't know, I forget. But the thing is, last week was really the first time I handled her. And in this video, I'll be telling you the mistakes that I made with my leopard gecko, so hopefully you don't make the same. Now, I got my leopard gecko off of Craigslist, and for those who don't know what that is, it's a website where you can resell pretty much anything, including animals. In Hosie's case, she was with somebody who wasn't really taking good care of her at all. Then they rehomed her to a reptile rescue called Reptile Rapture. And after she got nursed back to full health, this other guy adopted her. Long story short, he was putting her up for sale on Craigslist because he was moving and he needed to downsize his reptile collection. And Hosie is approximately 6 years old, and that's because from what I heard, she spent around 2 years with her first owner, 2 years at Reptile Rapture, and then 2 years with her third owner. So I'm the fourth owner. And with all that history with her, it really shows in her personality because she's very, very shy. And as what everyone should do when they're interested in getting an animal is doing research. Tons and tons of research. And to tell you the truth, I think I might have over-researched. And I'll tell you what I mean. Because I was so aware that leopard geckos are prone to dropping their tails, especially if they're scared, which Hosie was, I was too afraid to pick her up. I was simply just too afraid because I thought her beautiful tail would just drop. And because I did that, when she was shedding, she got some stuck shit on her toes, and I wasn't there to give her baths every day because spraying down her enclosure wasn't enough. And I didn't give her baths simply because I was too afraid that her tail would drop because she was still very shy at the time. So eventually, some of her toes fell off. Don't do what I did. I tried doing what guides were telling me how to tame and handle a leopard gecko, but it just was not working. I would put my hand in her enclosure for like 30 minutes every day, but it wouldn't improve anything and I wasn't going anywhere. It just didn't work. Maybe it works with other leopard geckos, I don't know. But what you really have to do to handle and or tame your leopard gecko, well, what worked for me is just to handle it. I struggled with doing this a lot because I did not want her tail to drop under any circumstances, but I wasn't going anywhere with anything. So I just picked her up gently and handled her. She squirmed a little bit, and she still kind of does when I try and pick her up, but she gets used to it pretty fast, and then she's perfect. So what I'm trying to say is if I just handled her the first week or two after I got her, it would have saved her some toes probably. Now for the rest of the video, I'll be going through other common mistakes that I haven't personally done, but you still don't want to do them. These mistakes are actually very common since leopard geckos are considered quote-unquote beginner reptiles, which means many people who get them are new to the reptile hobby. Therefore, they're more likely to give them improper food, housing, etc. Now for the leopard gecko diet, it's not too hard to mess up. They require insects basically every day. Those which include crickets, mealworms, dubia roaches, and superworms. Now, how some people may go wrong with this is that they might feed their leopard gecko only one type of bug their entire life. Then again, some leopard geckos can grow perfectly fine with this diet. It's just something to look out for, and it can cause your leopard gecko some health issues. Another thing that is a must, but many people don't do, is dust their insects with multivitamins or calcium powder. If you don't do that, there's a good chance they could get metabolic bone disease. And just a little thing that I'm trying to work with my leopard gecko is I'm trying to put some more weight on her because when I got her, she was a little bit underweight. And to do that, you can just give her some more fatty insects like mealworms or waxworms. And dusting them, of course. And the last thing we'll be talking about is something that's very common but also fatal to your reptile. And that is using sand with your leopard gecko. But before we get into that, I want to clarify what I use. I use Eco Earth and it does come with coconut strands in it. Some people say it's perfectly digestible, other people can say that you're killing your leopard gecko if you use it. I took out all the strands out of the Eco Earth just to be extra safe. And from what I've heard, she's been on Eco Earth her whole life and she has not had any issues with it. But even with all that said, I will probably change it to a reptile carpet or something around the lines just to be even more safe. Now back to sand. Sand is not digestible. If your leopard gecko happens to lick up some of it, there's a high chance it will clog up their system and they won't be able to digest it and they'll get impaction and then they will probably die. It's pretty simple to avoid, but many people still use it. And calcium sand is even worse. They advertise it to make it seem like it's all safe, that it's not sand, it's calcium sand. But that's actually worse, because what it's doing is encouraging your leopard gecko to lick it up, and that's, yeah. It has been tested and proven that if your leopard gecko licks out the calcium sand, it still has a high chance of getting infected and it will still probably die. Now, one more thing that I wanted to quick go over is how to avoid stuck shed, like what I said earlier. How to do so is when you notice your leopard gecko going into shed, you're going to want to mist it down every single day. You're going to want to give it baths every day as well, just to make sure it's a nice, clean shed and nothing gets stuck, especially on the limbs. Now that's the most common mistake with leopard geckos. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. Also, stay tuned because I'm planning on posting every Wednesday or Thursday. This is Hosey, I'm the reptile guy, and thanks for watching. Oh yeah, so I forgot to mention in the video, but next video will be an unboxing video. That is, if the package comes as it said it would. But yeah, stay tuned, and thanks for sticking around to the end.